would like to first of all say that Rabbi David Rosen, Senior Rabbi of Congregation Beth Yeshuim, is unable to be with us today due to the loss over the weekend of a very well-known and deeply loved congregation member and friend of the March of Remembrance Houston. And he has wisely chosen to be with the family who are sitting Shiva, a traditional week-long mourning period in Judaism for first-degree relatives, and helping make final service arrangements. So all of our hearts and thoughts and prayers are with Rabbi David Rosen and the family today. We've also received a great proclamation from the city of Houston, from Mayor Sylvester Turner, and let me just read a portion of that. Whereas the Holocaust was the state-sponsored systematic persecution and annihilation of European Jews by Nazi Germany and its collaborators between 1933 and 1945, and Jews were the primary victims, over 6 million Jews were murdered and suffered grievous oppression and death under Nazi tyranny. And whereas the history of the Holocaust offers an opportunity to reflect on the moral responsibilities of individuals, societies, and governments. Since 2007, March of Remembrance, Memorial, and Reconciliation marches have taken place at the historic locations of the Holocaust in Europe, and whereas on April 22nd and 23rd, 2017, a March of Remembrance will take place in Kingwood and Meyerland to remember the victims of the Holocaust, remember survivors, a voice, offer opportunities for reconciliation, and take a stand against modern-day anti-Semitism. And he dedicated this Houston Holocaust March of Remembrance Days. Also, we received from U.S. Senator Ted Cruz a letter that says, "Dear friends, I stand with you and the entire world in observance on Yom HaShoah. We pause to remember all victims of the Holocaust, including the 6 million Jews who were murdered as part of a deliberate genocidal campaign that sought to exterminate the Jewish people. We honor the survivors who endured such unspeakable evil and those selfless individuals and soldiers who courageously risked everything to save those persecuted by the Nazis. We must never forget the horrific atrocities that were committed by the Nazi regime and categorically reject attempts to distort history by denying or minimizing what truly occurred more than 70 years ago. Today, the vicious hatred of anti-Semitism is spreading across the world and must be combated in all of its forms. We must stand up and speak with moral clarity against those who threaten our survival to ensure the solemn and sacred vow of never again is fulfilled. The annual March of Remembrance Houston is vital to ensuring the past is not forgotten. May God bless you, and may God bless the United States of America." We received another letter also from Ellen Cohen, who is the Houston City Council member, District C. "Dear ministers, dignitaries, survivors, and all March of Remembrance participants, today we come together in remembrance honoring heroes and survivors of the Holocaust and Nazi persecution. From 1933 to 1945, individuals of Jewish descent were the primary victims, 6 million brutally murdered, but today we stand together strong as ever. We are a community whose vowed hate will never again prevail. We proudly remember who we are and where we came from. There is great pride in being a member of the Jewish community. With reports of increasing anti-Semitism in the United States, we must resist hate and rally together, always seeking peace and harmony. Bomb threats have been called into Jewish community centers in 11 cities across the U.S. Albuquerque, Amherst, Birmingham, Chicago, Cleveland, Houston, Milwaukee, Nashville, St. Paul, Tampa, and Whitefish Bay. We must not stand by idly as we know too well the consequences of prejudices and indifference. Let's continue to educate the public regarding the signs of impending genocide and engage our hearts to take a stand against modern-day anti-Semitism, so such atrocities never happen again to any group of people. When light seems to be diminished, we must face fear with strength and integrity. Let's never forget, united we stand or divided we fall. Lastly, as stated in the Talmud, the highest form of wisdom is kindness. Sincerely, Ellen R. Cohen, City of Houston, Mayor Pro Tem, Council Member, District C. As I have been going over some of the devotional time and prayer and scripture reading, I came across Zephaniah chapter 3. and I was reminded and encouraged of God's promises over Jerusalem and Israel. Zephaniah reminds us of God's dealing with the gathering of nations and the assembly of kingdoms who have been unjust towards Israel. It actually reminded me at times of the United Nations. Zephaniah also reminds us that the Lord promises to restore his people and that he is in the midst of his people. He says, "Do not fear. Zion, let not your hands be weak. The Lord your God is in your midst. The mighty one will save. He will rejoice over you with gladness. He will quiet you with his love. He will rejoice over you with singing. I will deal with all who afflict you." Zephaniah chapter 3, verse 15 through 19. As a society, and sadly, even in the church today, we are witnessing the human inclination to casually disregard the fundamental and important lessons of the past. We must not settle into complacency and apathy or harden our hearts as to sit back on the beach of comfort and apathy. Dietrich Bonhoeffer, who was martyred during Nazi Germany, said, "When the rulers are silent before injustice, then the evil hand of violence is not far off." Micah 4 is a great reminder to me that one day all peoples will gather at the mountain of the Lord, at Mount Zion, and the weapons of warfare will be exchanged for tools of harvest. And I'm so blessed to be reminded also that the afflicted, the outcast, the weak, and the lame shall become a strong nation. God is gathering his people, the Jewish people from all over the world, back to their homeland, the land of Israel. It is important for us as the church, especially the Church of Houston, Greater Houston, Texas, and America, that we stand as a solid voice saying no more. It shall not happen again. We cannot sit idly by on the beach of apathy or comfort when so many of our Jewish brothers and sisters are under such great persecution. Shall we say together, never again.
Visit www.marchofremembrancehouston.org, www.marchofremembrance.org for information on an event in your area. Here, Holocaust survivors, World War II veterans, and/or their families share their experiences as victims and liberators. Experience heartfelt testimonies, healing, and hope. Rise up and march against today's anti-Semitism. Marchofremembrance.org, marchofremembrancehouston.org.